Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to another video for the Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team. Today I'm going to be working with the brand new No Limits collection. It is absolutely incredible, so many gorgeous pieces, and this 12 by 12 pattern paper is one of my absolute favorites, so I had to go ahead and make a background using it. Now the pattern is amazing by itself, but I really wanted to add lots of detail and texture and dimension, so I'm going to use a few things to do that. What you can see here is some leftover little rhinestones I have from my diamond paintings, my diamond dots that I like to do. I've been doing them recently and I find them really relaxing. And if you do these, you'll know that generally you have a heap left over at the end. So what I've been doing is combining similar colors and kind of making my own little color mixes. And I haven't really had much of an idea of what to do with them until now. So I just went ahead and used the pattern that was already there and just filled in a bunch of the spots with the tacky glue and the rhinestones. Now I'm coming in with some of my Nuvo drops, and you can see I'm just using the pattern that's already on the paper. I'm adding some places, some little spots of dimensional paint, and I am just varying the placement. The gaps between the dots are different, the length of the dots are different. Just really going with, a random placement for these. Okay, now I'm going over some of these with this gold, champagne gold Nuvo drops that I have. It's really beautiful. And I think for this row, I did every third dot maybe, or every second dot. For this row, I did some blacks and greys. I won't make you watch this whole process. It did take quite a bit of time, but I found it very enjoyable and very relaxing. So we'll skip 2. And here I'm going ahead and doing a whole ring of French knots. So I just have a piece of teal embroidery floss. This is all 6 strands, and I'm just going to do, I think every eight or so dots on this ring, I did a French knot. So this is real time, just doing my little French knot, and then we'll speed up because actually didn't take as long as I thought it would once I got into the rhythm of doing it. If you've never done French knots before, don't panic. They're not hard to do once you get the hang of them. So I am going to come in with a close-up once I have tied off on the back of my layout here. I will do a close-up of me doing a French knot on a piece of white cardstock just to really show you exactly how easy it is. So I have a sewing awl and a piercing mat that I just use to pierce my holes, just to get ready for stitching. So I've pierced a single hole onto white cardstock here, and just coming in with some more of that same thread. I've tied a knot in the end so it doesn't fall through the paper or the cardstock, and I'm just pushing my needle through from the back up through that little hole. So this is in real time, so you can really see exactly how it's done. It's really quite simple. Pull it all the way through, then you want to hold the excess of the thread in one hand while you wrap it around the needle, holding the needle with the other hand, and then you just pop the needle back through that same hole and pull it through. It's really simple. It's just the way that you hold the thread and the way that you wrap around the needle. So I like to keep everything quite close to the needle, and that helps keep it nice and neat. So there you go. That's my French knot, and just doing another one really up close, just in case you're on a mobile device and it was too small to see in the first shot. Please excuse the state of my nails. So holding the thread in one hand and wrapping the needle. So you can see I just hold the thread taut and do the wrapping by spiraling my needle, I guess. It's the best way I can describe it. I just find that easier. And then back down through the hole, and you get this nice tidy little knot, and it gives a lot of texture and dimension. It looks really, really cool, and I really enjoy doing them. So here I'm just doing a final ring of Nuvo drops just around this outer edge. Oh, I do think I come in again with some more of the gold around one of the innermost rings. So there we go, around that innermost ring, and just doing every second or third one there. And just coming in for a close-up to show you how much detail is now on that background. So it was amazing to begin with, but now I've added all those dimensional dots and rhinestones and stitching. It looks even more amazing. So had a lot of fun making this background. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to put my photo in the center there because it's not a completely perfect circle. It's kind of like a wonky oval. I am using a bit of scrap cardstock and I'm just kind of using those dots that I made on that one of the more inner rings to kind of feel through the paper and see where that ring is. And that's going to be my guide for making a photo template. So I'm just going to trim that out. And it's pretty rough, but I'm not too worried about it because none of those concentric circles are perfect circles. They're all a little bit wonky, not perfect. So that means that it really isn't going to be obvious if I don't cut my photo perfectly. I think it would look weirder if I did make my photo a perfect circle or a perfect oval, because then it wouldn't sit nicely inside all those rings. So just going ahead and using that little oval I've cut out to trim around my photo. And I did go in off camera and just kind of trim up the edges a little bit where it was a bit uneven. But there you go, that's pretty much how it's going to sit right in the center there. I love this layout. Adding a bit of dimensional foam on the back just to help it sit up from the background a bit. I'm going to adhere that down using some double-sided tape and some tacky glue as well, just for some extra insurance. There we go. And now I'm coming in with some of the die-cut ephemera. Those stars are just perfect to kind of overlay those stars that are already on the background. So again, I'm really just following the pattern that is already there on the background. I'm just adding these stars back over the top where I've covered them up on underneath my photo, and just adding a little bit of dimensional foam under there to help, prop that star up. And I'll also bring in a bunch of the other bits and pieces that are in this collection. So I'm going to use quite a few of these little chipboard pieces to help create some dimension in the background. So that one is going to go there. I'll also pull off some of these little chipboard stars, and there's also a couple of little chipboard circles that, well, I think of them as little planets. So this background paper definitely reminds me of a solar system, which is just amazing. So I'm also going to fill in some of those little spots using the little wood buttons. I'm just going to use 3 of the teeny tiny ones. I love them so much. Now these enamel shapes, I love these so much, or I keep calling them enamel shapes or enamel dots, but they're actually puffy. They're just really glossy, so they remind me a lot of enamel shapes. So again, just overlaying some of those little stars and some of those little planets, as I like to think of them. Just adding lots of dimension and detail. Gosh, I love these shapes. They're so pretty. Really, really glossy, and the colors are just amazing. And for my title, of course, I'm going to use the die cut titles. Lots of really awesome titles in this little pack. So I've got my words here. I'm going to use Cool Kid. I haven't decided exactly where my placement's going to be, but I do end up curving it along the top of my photo here. So I am just going to cut up the individual letters. And it's really easy to do this with these titles because they have a wide enough border that you can trim them up into individual letters and, not be trimming too close to the actual letter, which is awesome. So I did play around with the idea of putting kid at the bottom, but I do end up putting it back at the top there. I just prefer how that looks. I'm adding my date here. I'm using Distress Oxide in Korea Smoke, and I didn't stamp it right the first time, so I just went in and stamped it again properly and then just ghosted the stamp, so got the rest of my ink off on the top and the bottom of it, so it looks like the mistake was deliberate, which is a really handy way to fix up a messed up date stamp. A lot of people ask where mine's from. It's just from Officeworks. It was just like the cheap office supply one. It's not a scrapbooking one. It's just an office supply one. Does the job. So I'm just going to add some foam to the back of this label as well, just because it wasn't sitting very well on top of those rhinestones. And that's the last thing I did. That is my layout complete. I'm loving this new collection. I've been having so much fun with it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.